Hey everyone, welcome to the new YouTube channel that I'm starting. If you don't know me personally, my name's Chris. If you don't know me, thank you for coming on over, it means a lot. And today I'm announcing, started my YouTube channel. This is gonna be an automotive channel. I'm gonna be basically doing an automotive business out of it. I'm gonna try and do content creation, just to give you guys a quick spiel. But the point of today is I basically just want to announce that we're beginning and what projects we're going to try and focus on for the beginning. So what's really cool is I've been wanting to do this for about 10 years. I had every single curveball you can think of thrown at me to prevent me from starting, whether it be money, moving, family stuff. That's just life. And so, yeah, we're here now. I want to start it. I want to see where it goes. I'm very passionate about this. This is my first video, so if you guys have any feedback you want to give me, please put it in the comments below. I greatly appreciate it. I'm just going to give this a shot and see how it goes. But for today, I want to go over basically what projects we're going to start with. So if you know me, you know that I've had a certain car for about 8 years. And now we have the 1968 Ford Mustang that I've had for 8 years. 4 years, almost 5 years, it hasn't ran. And so this car came with a 289 cubic inch small block Ford. That thing had about 270,000 miles on it, and it said that it was time to exit the chat. And so I put a 396 cubic inch 351 Windsor based motor in here that I had built. I don't know what happened. That motor lasted a week. It just shot a piston out of the side of the block, an iron block, which is crazy. When I was driving to base one day. Yeah, so, because this was my commuter car and this was my only car. So, really smart, Chris, to put a really crazy motor in your only old car. Anyways, but then we put a 408 cubic inch Windsor, 351 Windsor based motor in here, and small block Ford. I worded that really weird, but we're gonna go with it. But that motor lasted, I think, 1.5 years. It actually was a great engine. I really liked that thing. It sounded mean. It was fairly reliable. I mean, the car was probably a little too loud. I mean, if you can't have a conversation inside of the car, that's a hard part. And I had this thing in college, and I loved it. But unfortunately, I think I came over the mountains one time. It was like 110 degrees, and I knew I was hearing some clatter. Drained the oil when I finally got a chance to, and it had way too much metal in it. I think what happened was this car is an automatic, and the tachometer, which I don't have, was non-existent. And so I think with this thing being a C4 transmission, which if you don't know what that is, it's the automatic that came with these, but it's a 3-speed and third is overdrive. So I think with the gearing and everything else, and I didn't know about that at the time, I think this motor was just sitting on the freeway probably close to 5,000 RPM, like when I was at cruising mileage. And so it just kind of not redlined, but it high revved itself to pieces is basically what happened. I don't have that motor anymore. It's been years. I actually sold that thing hoping that I could recoup the money into this. But that was 4 years ago, so you can kind of guess what probably happened after I sold it, and then everything shot up in price. And so, yeah, here we are. I'm hoping that we can finish this. I have I don't want to say a few ideas. There's probably 2 motors I'm going to possibly put in this thing. One I'm strongly leaning towards, one I would love to put in here, but it's time, money, all those aspects that prevent us from doing something as car guys. I do want it to be a surprise, but it has a Roding Custom front end on it. So, no clearance issues for the motor that's gonna go in here, I'm hoping. Ignore those motor mounts. Those are for an engine that will not be going in here. But this does have QA1 coilovers and Wilwood disc brakes and a Flaming River rack and pinion steering setup, which is what comes with the Roding Custom kit. What's cool is it also has a sway bar, but what I really was happy, let me put this down really carefully. Sorry, that hood is no joke, 200 pounds. It's really heavy. That will not be on the car because I want to cut weight out of this thing because these cars are actually pretty light. But yeah, the hood's insane. Okay, looking back on it now, I'm just gonna say it because it'll force me to do it. We're putting a Coyote in here. So the newer Mustang 5.0 motor, it's gonna go in here. I would love to put a Barra in here. If you know what that is, I think it would be really sick in here. Yes, it's a straight six, but it's 4 liters, turbo, Australian goodness. I would love to put it in here. But again, the motor only came in Australia, so they're really hard to get parts for over here, and I don't know. I'd have to run, I think I'd have to run like probably a pretty crazy turbo and everything else. Like I want to keep this thing like reliable. That's the other thing too. And I don't know enough about Barras to say that I could keep it reliable. But the other aspect of this car is not only is it white, which I think, oh, it's white. It's got red interior. This is actually a deluxe model back in the day. Ignore the black steering wheel, that thing's going. But yeah, this was actually made on the same assembly line as the California Specials, I guess, if someone told me. So it gets some of the same bits, like the blinker style hoods. I don't know if you can see those on the hood. So if you hit the blinker, yeah, those just light up, which is kind of cool when you're driving an old car and you don't know if your blinker's working. It doesn't have the California Special taillights. Here, let me show you that. Yeah, so it's just the stock ones. And sorry, there's things on it. This thing needs a repaint really bad. This is not this original paint, trust me. I wish it was. Actually, I don't wish it was because of what it's been through. It doesn't look like it, but yeah, this paint is pretty, this paint's been through better days. And there's a little dent too. But yeah, the hood is not factory on this car. Yeah, I think the hood is actually factory on this car because I can't find any other like random paint colors or anything else on this, but both doors are different colors. The trunk was different colors. I mean, obviously they're white now, but I actually think the fender that got hit is actually, or not hit, but dinged in transport way long ago. I think this fender is actually not stock, but yeah. But I'm hoping that we can get this thing on the road. At least have the engine in it by the end of the year. That's my goal. We'll see how that happens. This is kind of going to be a project that's probably, I would say out of the 3 projects we're going to do, it's going to be probably the longest term one. Wow, worded that weird too. Anyways, but the one project that I think we're going to be able to get done, or at least close, by the end of the year, which is my goal, is my drift car. Which, I say that, I haven't drifted this thing. It has been drifted before. I've been bitten by the drift bug for the last, I almost want to say it's been like 8 years since I got this car. And I wanted to get a drift chassis forever. I just didn't have a place to put one, and I didn't have the means to build one now. And I'm finally in a position where I can, hence the shop that we're in now, which I'll give you guys a quick glance and tour of it in a second. It's not much, but it helps. So the chassis that I picked is a 1995 BMW 325 IS. So it's a coupe, and the motor and everything's been ripped out of it. And what's cool is BMWs, if you don't know, you can basically just disconnect these and pull the whole front end off. Makes it a whole lot easier to put crazy engines in here. This is a full interior car. I'm not going to show you too much on this one yet because this is probably going to be the focus of the channel for at least the next couple videos. Because we already have the motor for this thing. Any guesses as to what motor I would put in a Toyota? Wow, I already spoiled it right there. Yeah, we're putting a Toyota 2JZ. Yeah, so if you know anything about E36s, this and an LS are kind of the go-to swaps if you're gonna swap anything into it. So I've had this motor about 2 years just sitting. I'm not gonna do it, please don't attack me for this. I was half-heartedly thinking on putting this in the Ford Mustang to piss some people off, but I can't do it. I want to be able to just race this thing and go crazy, and as much as I want to, I want this to go in a car that's going to be competitive. That's my goal. This is a competitive engine. It should go in a competitive car. The E36 is definitely a competitive car. 68 Mustang, I don't know how many people are drifting those. If you can think of anyone, please send me a link because I need some tips. Not that we're gonna drift that, but I do want it to be something that I can beat on. But the cool thing with this is I already have the oil pan, the motor mounts, and we've already got the ZF transmission, which if you don't know, the ZF transmission is the 5-speed transmission that comes in the 328 trim level and the M3. I think it came in some versions of the E46. I know there's a ZF that's like a 6-speed. I'm still learning the coding on those, but I just know the 5-speed one is kind of what everyone's been using the last couple of years. Either that, a T56, or is CD09. I didn't want to go with a CD09 just because I don't like the idea of having to cut a bell housing and then put an adapter plate on there. I know some people are going to say it's really easy, but I also just wanted something that was, well, let's put it this way. T56 is like $3,000. They're, or more or less. You could find them around that range. CD009s are not much cheaper. I picked up this ZF for $700, and they're almost as strong. So that's one reason I went with that route. And I'm just excited. I'm trying to think of any other parts that we've got. I do have a Toyota OEM gasket kit, but I think my main goal with the 2J, I'm gonna leave the bottom end alone. I'm gonna change some of the front drive assembly. I mean, this thing's probably, God, I mean, I don't wanna say it was abused or neglected, but usually the crusty ones are kind of the best ones. I wouldn't say this is super crusty because they pressure wash these when you buy. So this motor did come out of an Aristo. So this is the Turbo 2JZ. It's a 2JZ GTE with the VVTi. This is the VVTi cam gear here. And yeah, I'm gonna keep the bottom end. I don't see any reason why I would have to change the bottom end. The valve train, I'm gonna take probably the head off. And I might determine then if I want to do anything with the valve train, but I could also just, my thought process with this is if I have the Toyota OEM gasket kit and everything else isn't just, so far I don't see anything that's puking oil or any obvious like gasket damage. So what I might do is I might just run a really cheap low horsepower setup, and then version 2 will use the OEM Toyota gasket, because I also want to make sure this chassis is going to be able to take it too. Which, oh, one thing I want to show you on the chassis is we already have the shock tower reinforcement kits on here. I do have the rest of the subframe reinforcements. We have not been able to put that in yet. So I did this at my previous location with my friend Alex and put them on there. So these are good. The reason you put these in is basically because these shock towers like to crack. Which is kind of, the car is really light, hence probably why the metal's fairly thin. But truthfully, these are kind of the only Achilles heel that at least I know about with these cars. I'm sure there's something else that someone's gonna put in the comments that I can't think off the top of my head, and I'm gonna be like, yes, I agree with you on that one. But we do have a welder that I was able to just get, and then I found out I can't weld in this location even though I asked about it like months in advance. So we're not going to be doing that. Well, we might be working something out, so we'll see. But this car is going to get probably a cheaper setup for drifting. I say that, and I'm putting a freaking 2JZ with a ZF in there, which isn't the most expensive swap, but it's not exactly the cheapest. But this thing's pretty much just going to get an angle kit, and that's it. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to do basically suspension and the engine. And I don't even know if I'm gonna paint it. Like, I might just leave it this ugly looking, I actually don't know if I showed you guys. It's not ugly, but like, this is, someone painted this black with the white, and I don't hate it, but I got other ideas. I would love this to be the Techno Violet purple. So I've got this black and white two-tone design actually on this car, and what's hilarious is one day I just was like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. Should I keep the same color or should I, paint it something else? And what was funny was I started sketching it up, and then I sketched a 2JZ next to it, and I think it was my wife, and she's like, oh, that'd be really cool on a shirt. And so I worked with a really awesome company, 144 Racing, if you know who they are. You have to go check them out. They have some of the coolest merch I've ever seen, like shirts, hats, like decals. They do all sorts of services. They do everything. Just head on over there and take a look at them too. But I was able to make a shirt with them, and It's like Junk Cars, nice part shirt. I can't really turn and show the back. I already tried and messed it up like 3 times. So we're just gonna put a link in the description, or I'll try and post it on the screen. But I've worked with them and I was able to make 2 shirts. One of the shirt I'm wearing right now, and one of the vision I want to have this car look like when it's done. And on top of that, a hat and some other stuff. But if you want to support, please head on over to angusauto.com and check out all the stuff that I've currently got, and I've got more stuff in the mix. I believe I'm going to work with them here shortly, and we're going to make a 68 Mustang shirt. I don't know when that'll be done, but I would love it if everyone would head on over and support both them and myself. They've really opened the door and helped me with a lot of things that I was worried I wasn't going to be able to figure out. So they're awesome. You guys are awesome. Thank you for watching through this entire video. I really appreciate it. If you have any feedback, please put it in the comments below. I know this is going to be my first video, and I'm trying to make sure that it's up to par of what I want to do too. It's really hard getting behind the camera, and I really appreciate you guys watching through the whole thing. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.